my primary experience and knowledge in biology is as a botanist. I don't want to do too much resume or anything, but I've been doing this kind of work for 25 years with the U.S. Forest Service for a couple of years and with private consulting companies since then. I want to make sure everyone understands, just for clarity. So ASPEN Environmental Group is a company that's contracted to the California Public Utilities Commission, not to Edison. And that our role is to essentially be the eyes and ears of the Public Utilities Commission. So my part of that role, unlike Cassandra's, I'm not on site monitoring building and construction on a regular basis. But my part of that role is commits to implementing environmental issues, implementing mitigation for environmental impacts of the project. So I think everyone here probably knows there's an environmental impact report that was prepared with the Public Utilities Commission as what's called the lead agency. And there are, of course, environmental impacts of a big construction project like this. And, I don't need to tell you guys what they are. The environmental impact report identifies those impacts, describes them, discloses them to the public, and identifies mitigation measures, things that Edison can do to make them less significant than they might have been otherwise. So the ones that, in particular, I understand that the town of Acton is interested in have to do with the loss of juniper woodland vegetation, which gets cleared for roads, cleared for build. Sure, okay, I'll try.
All right.
I don't want to get too boisterous. So Edison is in the process of preparing a document called an HMMP. There are a lot of acronyms in this business. So that stands for Habitat Mitigation and Monitoring Plan, HMMP. And it's Edison's job, according to the Environmental Impact Report, to prepare this document that I think Edison came up with the title, to tell you the truth. But this HMMP needs to include the measures in it that Edison will implement to revegetate disturbed areas. And in some areas, it's a permanent disturbance where a tower is located. The habitat is gone, and it's going to stay gone because of the long-term O&M for the project itself.
O&M.
So where that happens,
O&M?
operations and maintenance.
Okay.
So and dedicated for permanent conservation. So that's one aspect of the HMMP. And then the other aspect is where there's temporary disturbance, where there doesn't need to be a permanent road or any other permanent operations issue that would leave the disturbed site as a part of the facility. Edison needs to commit, and will commit, to doing some level of revegetation or habitat replacement on site. And that would include all sorts of different things that could be done. If it's a road, maybe scrape the road so it's no longer compacted and then reseeded. Where junipers are taken out, I believe that Edison needs to commit to putting back junipers, which, of course, are going to plant little ones. It's not going to take years before they're big. That's a limitation. It's a reality. But those are the kinds of things that Edison needs to do. They are in the process of drafting that HMMP for this part of the project. They've commented on that, made recommendations for changing it, and we're in a back and forth cycle with that now. I understand that this material called sporax is used to treat stumps. That was a question that the town council had. So conifer trees, pines, firs, and junipers are susceptible when big ones are cut in a forestry practice. The cut stump can be susceptible to these spores of a fungus that can infect the stump and then reproduce and work their way down through the root system of the dead tree, the gone tree, and from there can infect adjacent live trees. So this material called sporax is used in forestry to spread onto the cut stump, and it prevents these spores from infecting the stump. And it's a Forest Service practice. It's required as a basic rule in the Forest Service for any forestry practice. Junipers are conifers in a taxonomic sense. they're not the same as the big pine trees and fir trees that you imagine in the forestry industry, and especially these junipers, these California junipers in your neighborhood. And in the process of clearing these sites, Edison takes them out, you know, lock, stock, and barrel. So you don't have a cut stump.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
My
There's
understanding
plenty
is
of
you
cut
don't.
stumps.
No, you do.
Incorrect.
Well, I won't argue with you.
Plenty of cut stumps.
I have pictures.
Okay.
So,
I don't know who told you that, but it's not correct.
I can't argue with you.
Sorry about that.
I don't mind.
Okay.
So that's something that needs to be looked into that I wasn't aware of.
It's been like that for months. Months and months.
So if there is a stump or a residual that appears to be a stump, what is the recommended treatment for it?
The second point of that is that size is, and I don't know the size of the cut stumps, and I'd like to know. I mean, I think we need to know.
They're conifers.
I think we should know the size of them and the location.
I think ASPEN should know and be able to tell us something definite.
Yes, the question would be, if ASPEN has the monitors, how you two work hand in hand so that if there are stumps out there, how do you become aware of it? Who is the enforcement arm there to make sure they're treated properly? The frustration is we've been addressing this with Edison over multiple months, and we kind of need to know how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're right.
In writing, too.
Okay.
Yeah, let me it would be really helpful exactly where these stumps are that alleged to exist that are so prevalent. Because we can't, you know, as an abstract stump, isn't helpful to us. And Aspen's job, I mean, if you can tell us where Cassandra should go look for these stumps, then she can go out and look for those stumps and report back to the PUC.
And we have no problem with doing that. I know we've taken several tours on the property, I believe with Southern Cal Edison, showing where these were located at as well. My other question would be, if the stump is less size than is required, will it still, if not treated, infect down below? Therefore, should we look at all quote-unquote stumps?
My understanding is that it's specifically a Forest Service practice and a Forest Service requirement in the forestry, and it's there for good reason in the forest industry. The environmental impact report has a series of mitigation measures, and it's our responsibility to monitor the implementation of those measures.
We're talking non-forest lands here. Conifers. So we need some hard information. We could show you the stumps.
Yeah, the specific answer is if the mitigation measure has a size restriction or a size limitation, it's our responsibility to monitor the implementation of that. And if the measure specifically addresses national forest land, then that's the other thing we need to monitor the implementation.